The groundbreaking Fox sitcom Rock brought authentic working-class Baltimore stories to television from 1991 to 1994, breaking barriers with its live second season and tackling serious social issues. What audiences loved most were the authentic relationships between cast members who had worked together on Broadway stages. Yet behind the groundbreaking performances and critical acclaim lies a somber reality. 5 talented actors who brought this beloved show to life have since passed away, leaving behind legacies that extend far beyond their time on Emerson Street. Their stories remind us that behind every character we grow to love, there's a real person whose own journey eventually comes to an end. Carl Gordon Andrew, Pop Emerson. Carl Gordon brought unforgettable wisdom and humor to Rock as Andrew Pop Emerson, the sharp-tongued patriarch who kept the Emerson family grounded with his old-school values and hilarious observations about modern life. As Rock's retired railroad porter father, Gordon created a character that felt authentic and lived in, someone who would give portraits of Malcolm X as birthday presents, and insist that Larry Bird couldn't possibly be white because no white man could play basketball that well. His performance as the family's moral compass made him the heart of a show that tackled serious social issues while maintaining its comedic soul. Gordon's path to acting was anything but typical, and it began with what he described as divine intervention during his darkest hour. Born Rufus Carl Gordon Jr. in 1932 in Goochland, Virginia, he grew up in Brooklyn's Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood after his family moved north when he was young. After serving as an aircraft mechanic in the Air Force during the Korean War, Gordon attended Brooklyn College but dropped out to find work and start a family. For the next 20 years, he bounced between unfulfilling jobs as a sheet metal worker and department store stockroom clerk, watching his life slip away through 2 failed marriages and a string of dead-end positions that left him feeling trapped and hopeless. Around 1970, at age 38, Gordon reached his breaking point after another exhausting day stocking shelves. He fell to his knees in tears and cried out, "Lord, tell me what I need to do." And according to Gordon, he heard a clear answer: "Try acting." This seemed absurd since he had never considered acting and had barely set foot in a theater, but Gordon decided to trust what he believed was God's guidance. He enrolled in the Gene Frankel Theater Workshop, where he was the oldest student, the only African American, and the only person without a college degree. Yet he threw himself into learning the craft with the determination of someone who had nothing left to lose. Gordon's late start proved to be an advantage as he brought a lifetime of real experience to his roles, quickly finding work in Broadway productions and becoming a cornerstone of the Negro Ensemble Company, with over 30 productions to his credit. His breakthrough came with his role as Doker in August Wilson's Pulitzer Prize-winning play The Piano Lesson in 1990, a performance he would later reprise in the 1995 television adaptation. When Rock premiered in 1991, Gordon was 59 years old and finally getting the recognition he deserved, creating a character that reviewer Marvin Kittman described as a black Archie Bunker, who projected what one critic called amiable irritability, gravitas, and homegrown wisdom. On July 20, 2010, Carl Gordon died at age 78 from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at his home in Jetersville, Virginia, surrounded by his wife Jacqueline and his large extended family that included 6 children, 9 grandchildren, and 5 great-grandchildren. His death marked the end of a remarkable 40-year career that proved it's never too late to follow your calling, and his legacy lives on through the authentic characters he created and the barrier-breaking show that gave working-class African-American families a voice on television. Gordon showed that sometimes the most powerful performances come from actors who have lived long enough to understand the full weight of the stories they're telling. Hugh Dane Fred. Hugh Dane brought steady reliability and quiet humor to Rock through his recurring role as Fred, a character who provided the kind of dependable presence that made the show's working-class Baltimore neighborhood feel authentic and lived in. While Fred wasn't one of the main characters, Dane's performance embodied the spirit of the community that surrounded the Emerson family, representing the everyday people who formed the backbone of their world. His work on rock during the early 1990s showcased the same understated professionalism that would later make him a beloved fixture on television, proving that even smaller roles could leave lasting impressions when performed with genuine care and attention to detail. Dane's journey to acting began later in life, much like his rock co-star Carl Gordon, though Dane's path was less dramatic and more methodical in its development. Born Hugh Dane on October 21, 1942, he spent the first 48 years of his life away from the entertainment industry, before making his professional debut in 1990 with a two-part episode of the NBC crime drama Hunter, where he played a character called The Father. This late entry into show business meant that Dane brought a wealth of real-world experience to his roles, giving his characters an authentic quality that came from understanding the kinds of people he was portraying on screen. Following his debut on Hunter, Dane quickly found his niche as a character actor who specialized in playing authority figures and working-class men, roles that perfectly suited his natural demeanor and physical presence. His recurring role as Fred on Rock became one of his longest television commitments during the early years of his career, and the show's Emmy nomination recognized the quality of the entire ensemble cast that included actors like Dane, who brought depth to every character, no matter how small their screen time might be. Throughout the 1990s, Dane built a steady career with appearances on popular shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where he played two different characters, Martin, Boy Meets World, Friends, and Hangin' with Mr. Cooper, establishing himself as a reliable character actor who could adapt to different comedy styles and formats. Dane's career reached its peak with his role as Hank the security guard on NBC's The Office, where he appeared in 22 episodes from 2005 to 2013, making it his most substantial and memorable television role. His portrayal of the no-nonsense security guard who worked in the Scranton Business Park became a fan favorite, with Hank's dry humor and occasional conflicts with the Dunder Mifflin employees, providing some of the show's most genuinely funny moments. The character's popularity led to film opportunities in big-budget comedies like Little Fockers in 2010 and Bridesmaids in 2011, where Dane's natural comedic timing and authentic presence made him a perfect fit for ensemble casts that relied on every actor to contribute to the overall humor. On May 16, 2018, Hugh Dane died at age 75 from pancreatic cancer, with the news of his passing first being shared by his Office co-star Rainn Wilson, who described him as one of the greats and praised his kindness, humor, and talent. The Los Angeles Inner City Cultural Center, where Dane had been involved in community work, organized a memorial service that celebrated his life as a loving husband, father, grandfather, and friend, highlighting the personal qualities that made him beloved both on and off screen. Dane's nearly 30-year career proved that success in Hollywood doesn't always require leading roles or early stardom, but rather the dedication to perfect your craft and bring authenticity to every character you play, no matter how big or small the part might be. Heavy D. Calvin Hendrix. Heavy D brought real gravitas and emotional depth to Rock through his portrayal of Calvin Hendrix, a sanitation worker whose friendship with the title character became central to the show's most powerful storylines about community, responsibility, and the consequences of violence. Calvin's character arc took viewers through some of the series' most dramatic moments, from his role as a vigilante fighting drug dealer Andre Thompson to his ultimate imprisonment for murder, which led to Rock and Eleanor taking in his 11-year-old daughter Sheila. The storyline showcased Heavy D's range as an actor, while addressing serious issues about street justice and how violence affects entire families, making Calvin's journey one of the most memorable and impactful character developments in the show's 3-season run. Born Dwight Arrington Myers on May 24, 1967, in Mandeville, Jamaica, Heavy D moved with his family to Mount Vernon, New York, where he discovered his love for hip-hop music and began developing the skills that would make him one of rap's most influential figures. In the mid-1980s, he formed Heavy D and the Boys with DJ and producer Eddie F., along with dancers Glenn G. Wiz, Parrish and Troy, Trouble T. Roy Dixon, creating a group that would help define the sound of late 80s and early 90s hip-hop by blending rap with R&B sensibilities in a way that appealed to both hardcore hip-hop fans and mainstream audiences. Heavy D and the Boys became the first group signed to Andre Harrell's Uptown Records, releasing their debut album, Living Large, in 1987, which established Heavy D's persona as the overweight lover and featured hits like Mr. Big Stuff and The Overweight Lovers in the House. Their breakthrough came with the 1989 album Big Time, which included 4 major hits and showed Heavy D's evolution from novelty rapper to serious artist who could craft complete songs with sophisticated production and meaningful themes. The group reached their commercial peak with 1991's Peaceful Journey, featuring crossover smashes like Now That We Found Love and Is It Good to You, which helped establish the template for rap songs with R&B hooks that would dominate the charts throughout the 90s. The album Peaceful Journey also served as a tribute to Trouble T. Roy, who had tragically died in a fall in Indianapolis in July 1990, with Heavy D using his music to process grief while continuing to push hip-hop in new directions that influenced artists like Mary J. Blige and even Notorious B.I.G., who cited Heavy D as a major inspiration. Beyond music, Heavy D successfully transitioned into acting with appearances on television shows and collaborations with major stars like Michael Jackson, for whom he rapped on the hit single Jam from the Dangerous album, and Janet Jackson, with whom he had worked on All Right earlier in his career, proving his versatility as an entertainer who could move seamlessly between different aspects of the entertainment industry. On November 8, 2011, Heavy D died suddenly at age 44 from a pulmonary embolism caused by a blood clot that medical examiners believed formed during an extended airplane flight, after he had recently returned to Los Angeles from a trip to London. His death came less than a month after his final live performance at the 2011 BET Hip Hop Awards, where he had performed a medley of his greatest hits, including Now That We Found Love and Nothin' But Love, marking his first live televised performance in 15 years, and serving as an unintentional farewell to fans who had followed his career since the late 80s. Heavy D's legacy extends far beyond his music and acting roles to encompass his influence on an entire generation of artists who learned from his ability to make hip-hop that was both commercially successful and artistically credible, while his portrayal of Calvin Hendrix on Rock demonstrated his commitment to using his platform to tell meaningful stories about real people facing difficult choices. His sudden death at such a young age robbed the entertainment world of an artist who had successfully bridged multiple genres and mediums, leaving behind a body of work that continues to influence musicians and actors who understand that true success comes from staying authentic to your roots, while constantly pushing yourself to grow and evolve as an artist. Rosalind Cash Margaret Carter. Rosalind Cash brought dignity and strength to rock through her portrayal of Margaret Carter, Eleanor's mother, whose appearances on the show provided viewers with glimpses of the kind of woman who had raised the strong, principled nurse that Eleanor had become. Margaret's character represented the older generation that had paved the way for families like the Emersons, and Cash's performances captured both the wisdom and the protective instincts of a mother who wanted the best for her daughter while understanding the realities of working-class life in Baltimore. Her scenes on Rock were memorable not just for their emotional depth, but because Cash brought the same refusal to compromise her artistic integrity that had defined her entire career ensuring that Margaret Carter felt like a real person rather than a stereotypical television mother-in-law. Born Rosalind Theresa Cash on December 31, 1938, in Atlantic City, New Jersey, she was the second of 4 children born to John O. Cash Sr., a clerk, and Martha Elizabeth Cash, growing up in a family that valued education and hard work. After graduating with honors from Atlantic City High School in 1956, Cash attended City College of New York, where she began developing the artistic sensibilities that would guide her throughout her career as she moved from singing in nightclubs to pursuing serious theatrical work that would challenge both herself and audiences who might have preconceived notions about what roles black actresses should play. Cash's breakthrough came in 1968, when she became one of the founding members of the Negro Ensemble Company, a pioneering organization devoted to presenting plays by black writers and advancing the careers of black actors and theater personnel. She had to turn down a role in a Washington, D.C. production of The Great White Hope and pay back 2 weeks' salary to join the company, but the decision proved transformative as it established her as one of the most important stage actresses of her generation. Her work with the company included starring roles in naturalistic dramas like Ceremonies in Dark Old Men by Lon Elder III. But she was equally comfortable in classical works, most notably playing Goneril opposite James Earl Jones's King Lear for the New York Shakespeare Festival in 1973. The 1970s marked Cash's transition to film and television, where she became known for choosing roles that broke new ground for black actresses while refusing to accept parts that relied on racial stereotypes. Her most famous film role came in 1971's science fiction movie, The Omega Man, where she played Lisa, the love interest of Charlton Heston's character, in one of the first major interracial romantic relationships portrayed in a mainstream Hollywood film. Throughout the decade, she appeared in significant films like Uptown Saturday Night, The New Centurions, and Wrong is Right, where she played the first black woman to become Vice President of the United States, while also maintaining an active television career with appearances on popular shows like Good Times, What's Happening?, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Barney Miller, and Hill Street Blues. Cash's commitment to artistic excellence continued into the 1980s and 90s, when she earned an Emmy nomination for her work in the PBS production of Go Tell It on the Mountain in 1985, and appeared in other prestigious television projects like the 1983 adaptation of King Lear and Guyana Tragedy, The Story of Jim Jones in 1980. Her final major role came when she joined the cast of ABC's General Hospital in 1994, playing Mary May Ward, a character that allowed her to showcase her range in daytime television while earning the respect of soap opera fans who appreciated her serious approach to the medium. On October 31, 1995, Rosalind Cash died from cancer at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles at age 56, with her death occurring while she was still actively working on General Hospital, cutting short a career that had consistently broken barriers for black performers in theater, film, and television. She was posthumously nominated for an Emmy Award in 1996 for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series for her work on General Hospital, a fitting tribute to an actress who had spent her entire career proving that talent and integrity could coexist in an industry that often demanded compromises. Cash's legacy extends far beyond her individual performances to encompass her role as a pioneer who refused to accept limitations based on race or gender, opening doors for future generations of black actresses who would benefit from her insistence on portraying complex, fully realized human beings rather than one-dimensional characters. Her work on shows like Rock demonstrated that even in smaller roles, a truly committed actress could bring depth and authenticity that elevated the entire production, proving that success in Hollywood doesn't require sacrificing your principles if you're willing to fight for roles that honor both your talent and your dignity. Fred Pinkard Frankie. Fred Pinkard brought decades of professional experience and quiet dignity to his brief but memorable appearance on Rock as Frankie in the episode Son of Another Gun, where his character served as a connection to the older generation that had helped shape the community where the Emerson family lived and worked. Though Frankie appeared in only one episode, Pinkard's performance carried the weight of his extensive theatrical background, creating a character who felt authentic and lived in despite limited screen time. His work on the show represented the kind of solid, professional character acting that helped make Rock feel like a real neighborhood populated by people with full histories and complex relationships, demonstrating how even the smallest roles could contribute to the show's overall sense of authenticity and community. Born on January 25, 1920, in Illinois but raised as a farmer's son in Shreveport, Louisiana, Pinkard came to Chicago in his early 20s, where he got a job with the Pullman Company, while pursuing his passion for acting through the emerging opportunities available to African American performers in the city's growing cultural scene. He belonged to a pioneering generation of black actors in Chicago who performed in black-produced radio plays and productions staged by the Chicago Negro Theater, working alongside other future stars like comedian Red Fox, who would later achieve fame on television, while helping to establish Chicago as an important center for African American theater and entertainment during the 1940s and 50s. Pinkard's commitment to serious theatrical work led him to leave Chicago in the 1950s to pursue broader opportunities on the stage, where he became part of some of the most prestigious theater companies in America, including the Tyrone Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which had been founded in 1963 by the renowned British director Sir Tyrone Guthrie as a resident theater, dedicated to performing classic plays with the highest professional standards. As a member of the Guthrie's Ensemble Acting Company in 1967, Pinkard worked alongside distinguished actors like Michael Moriarty, Glyn Turman, and Gail Sondergaard, performing in rotating repertory productions that included Shakespeare and other classical works that demanded exceptional skill and versatility from every company member. Throughout his career, Pinkard maintained his commitment to excellence in theater, while also building an impressive resume in film and television after moving to Los Angeles in 1970, where he accumulated countless supporting roles that showcased his professionalism and reliability as a character actor. His television credits included appearances on landmark shows like The Mod Squad, The Bill Cosby Show, where he played Cosby's father, Good Times, Roots, ER, NYPD Blue, Seinfeld, and Mad About You, while his film work included roles in Rocky II, Splash, Scott, Joplin, and JD's Revenge, demonstrating his ability to adapt to different genres and formats while maintaining the same level of commitment he had brought to his stage work. Despite often being limited to smaller character roles due to the racial discrimination that affected casting throughout the entertainment industry, Pinkard never allowed these limitations to discourage him from pursuing his craft, maintaining what his daughter Rita described as an upbeat attitude, and never losing his dignity or his ideals, even when faced with the industry's systemic barriers. He continued working well into his 80s, with his remarkable memory allowing him to recite whole passages from Shakespeare and other productions he had performed in throughout his 7-decade career, demonstrating the deep love for language and literature that had sustained him through all the challenges of a life dedicated to acting. On August 2, 2004, Fred Pinkard died of heart failure at Los Angeles Community Hospital at age 84, following a massive heart attack he had suffered just before Father's Day that year, marking the end of a career that had spanned from the early days of black radio drama in Chicago to the modern era of television and film. His passing represented the loss of a direct connection to the pioneering generation of African American actors, who had fought to create opportunities for themselves and future performers, leaving behind a legacy of professionalism, perseverance, and quiet dignity that influenced everyone who had the privilege of working with him. Pinkard's life and career demonstrated that success in the entertainment industry isn't always measured by fame or leading roles, but by the consistent dedication to excellence and the willingness to contribute to something larger than yourself, whether that's a groundbreaking theater company, a beloved television show, or the ongoing struggle to create more opportunities for talented performers of all backgrounds.